The sky over major cities darkened as enormous alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. People looked up in shock. The ships were huge, black and silver, with lights that blinked in patterns no human had ever seen before. The ground shook when they hovered above cities. Panic spread like fire. Sirens screamed through streets. People ran in every direction, screaming for their families, trying to find safety. Cars crashed, buildings trembled, and the sky seemed to burn with alien energy. The aliens, called the Kreldar, moved with precision and power. Their weapons fired with lightning speed, vaporizing anything in their path. Entire streets were gone in seconds. Airports, stadiums, and skyscrapers collapsed. The world's military forces tried to respond, but human missiles and fighter jets seemed tiny against the alien fleet. The Kreldar were strong, fast, and terrifying. It looked like nothing could stop them. Above Earth, in the cold silence of space, Commander David Hunter watched from the orbiting space station. His hands moved quickly across the control panels as alarms blared. He knew this was humanity's first real test. Every decision he made could save thousands of lives, or doom them. He called out orders to the space station crew. Prepare the satellites for defense. Launch drones immediately. We cannot let them land without resistance. Hunter was calm, but inside, fear churned. He remembered the news reports about the ships appearing over other countries. London, Tokyo, New York, Paris, all cities under threat. Communication lines were breaking, but he refused to panic. The crew trusted him and he could not let them see weakness. Below him, scientists worked frantically. Dr. Emma Lewis led a team in a lab filled with blinking machines, computers, and experimental equipment. They had only hours to understand the Kreldar technology. Every alien weapon, every energy signature, every movement was recorded and analyzed. Dr. Lewis spoke quickly to her team. We need to find a weakness, anything we can use. Watch their shields, study their energy patterns. Every small detail matters. Her assistant, Daniel Cooper, scanned incoming data. Commander Hunter just sent a new report. They're testing our defenses near Tokyo. Emma's face tightened. They had seen enough destruction already. Still, she forced herself to breathe and focus. Humans had survived disasters before. They could survive this. Meanwhile, on the ground, ordinary people tried to survive. Families held hands, children cried, and neighbors helped one another. Some ran to shelters, others tried to reach loved ones in the chaos. In the midst of fear, small acts of bravery shone. A man helped an elderly woman climb over debris. A group of teenagers guided people away from collapsing buildings. Humanity's spirit, even in terror, refused to break. As the Kreldar ships descended closer to cities, fighter pilots prepared to engage. Laura Bennett, one of the best pilots, strapped herself into the cockpit of a sleek fighter jet. Her hands trembled slightly, but her mind was sharp. She knew the odds were against her. Her jet was fast, but against the alien ships, it was tiny, almost insignificant. Still, she would fight. She would not let fear control her. Laura's squadron launched into the sky. The alien scouts moved swiftly, shooting beams of energy that turned everything they hit into fire. Laura dodged, weaving through the chaos, her mind racing. She fired her missiles at the alien ships, some exploding harmlessly, some hitting small but important targets. Every strike mattered. Every movement showed the aliens that humans were not weak. From the streets, people watched in awe and fear. They saw small victories. A fighter dodged an attack, a missile struck an alien ship. Each moment was a mix of hope and terror. Children clung to their parents and parents whispered, "We will survive. We have to." Even though most could do nothing to fight, their belief mattered. Humanity's courage was not just in weapons or pilots, it was in every heart that refused to give up. Back on the space station, Commander Hunter coordinated attacks with ground forces. Drones and satellites fired at alien weapons, trying to slow their advance. The Kreldar ships were smart, adapting to human tactics. But humans were smarter in a different way. They adapted quickly, thought creatively, and never stopped trying. Every time the aliens tested a city, humans responded in new ways. They used underground tunnels, improvised weapons, and even old satellites repurposed as missile platforms. Dr. Lewis worked tirelessly, studying alien energy beams. She realized that the Kreldar relied on a type of energy she had never seen before. It was strong, almost unbreakable, but it had small fluctuations. If we can time our attacks with the pulses, we might weaken their shields, she told her team. Hope flickered in the lab. Even a small chance mattered. Humanity thrived on small chances. Laura's jet dove and twisted through the air as she attacked a scout ship. She saw it fire on a city below and she felt rage and fear mixed together. She pressed the trigger, dodged another blast, and her missile struck the ship's side. It shuddered, sparks flying before regaining control. Her squadron cheered over the radio. They were only a few pilots against hundreds of ships, but each success gave them courage. Meanwhile, on the streets of New York, Thomas Riley, a firefighter, led people to safety through collapsing buildings. Smoke and fire filled the air. He carried an injured child on his shoulder while guiding others. He did not think of himself. He thought only of saving lives. Around him, ordinary humans were performing extraordinary acts. Humanity's strength was not only in technology or weapons, it was in heart, determination, and bravery. The first day of the invasion ended with cities in flames and thousands of lives lost. But humans had learned something crucial: they could fight back. They were not defenseless. Commander Hunter looked down at Earth from space and spoke to his crew. This is only the beginning. They think we are weak. They will soon learn how wrong they are. Humanity does not give up. Humanity survives. Dr. Lewis and her team analyzed the day's data, exhausted but determined. We have a lot to do, she said. But we now know their pattern. We can find a way to fight them, and we will. We have to. Laura Bennett, flying back to base, saw the city below and felt a mixture of sorrow and pride. Many lives were lost, but some were saved. Her squadron had proved that even in the face of impossible odds, humans could strike back. We will keep fighting, she said to herself. No matter what comes, we will not surrender. Even as the night fell, Earth was scarred but alive. Across the globe, humans prepared for the battles ahead. Civilians built shelters, engineers repaired damaged machines, and soldiers trained relentlessly. Humanity's answer to fear was action. Its answer to despair was courage. And high above, in orbit and in the skies, humans looked at the alien ships and whispered almost to themselves, "You may be strong, but we are not weak. We will fight. We will survive." The Kreldar had entered Earth believing it would be easy. They had underestimated humans. They did not yet understand that humanity's fire was not in its weapons alone. It was in its spirit, its creativity, and its will to fight against impossible odds. The first day was only the beginning. But one thing was already clear. Earth had answered the arrival of the Kreldar with courage, with ingenuity, and with a heart that refused to surrender. Humanity had taken its first stand, and it was only the start of a war that would be remembered across the stars. The Kreldar attacked the military bases with speed and precision. Giant ships hovered over cities and launched beams of energy that tore through buildings and vehicles. Cities burned as explosions shook the ground. Firefighters tried to contain the flames, but the alien weapons were too powerful. Entire neighborhoods disappeared in seconds. Panic and fear spread through the streets. People ran for shelter, screaming for their families. The world seemed on the edge of collapse. In the middle of the chaos, humans refused to surrender. Across the globe, scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked frantically to find ways to fight back. Michael Turner, a brilliant engineer, sat in a makeshift lab surrounded by computers and old satellite equipment. He studied the alien ships and their movements carefully. "If we cannot match their firepower, we must match their strategy," he said. He turned to his assistant, Clara Moore. "We can repurpose the satellites in orbit. We can use them to target the alien supply ships. It will be dangerous, but it might slow them down." Clara nodded. "It's our best chance. The satellites weren't built for this, but we can make them work." Michael and Clara worked quickly, rewiring controls, adjusting targeting systems, and improvising weapons from whatever they could find. Even old drones, originally meant for weather observation, were transformed into flying bombs. Every small tool became a weapon. Humanity was showing the Kreldar that creativity could stand against raw power. Meanwhile, fighter pilots like James Carter prepared for their first strike missions. James checked his jet carefully, making sure every system worked. "This is it," he said to his co-pilot Emily Harris. "We may not survive, but we can hit them hard." The two of them took off into the darkened skies, weaving between alien scout ships. Energy beams shot past them, but James flew with skill, dodging and diving. His mission was to attack the alien supply ships, the ones carrying fuel and weapons for the main fleet. If they succeeded, it would slow the aliens' advance. On the ground, ordinary people contributed in ways that mattered just as much. A group of teenagers in London hacked into alien communication signals, trying to decode their language and patterns. Engineers in Berlin repaired damaged weapons and built new ones from scrap metal and electronics. Farmers in rural areas set up lookout stations, warning cities when alien ships approached. Humanity's strength was not only in technology or weapons, it was in every person willing to fight and adapt. Back in orbit, Michael Turner's plan began to work. Satellites fired improvised missiles at the alien supply ships. Some missed, but others hit perfectly, causing explosions that sent debris flying into space. The Kreldar did not expect humans to strike back from orbit. The aliens adjusted their formation, but the humans were ready. Drones buzzed around the alien ships, distracting their weapons and giving fighter pilots a better chance to strike. James Carter and Emily Harris attacked a supply ship near New York. Energy beams flared around them as the alien ship tried to defend itself. Emily fired the missiles while James dodged blasts, moving with precision and courage. The ship shuddered and broke apart. James radioed back, "One down. Keep pushing. We can do this." Their success was small, but it sent a message to the Kreldar. Humans were not weak. They could think, adapt, and fight in ways the aliens had not anticipated. Across the world, humans continued to surprise the Kreldar. Civilians repaired damaged communications towers so soldiers could coordinate attacks. Scientists calculated alien energy patterns to predict their next moves. Engineers converted simple tools into weapons. Even in fear, humans worked together, finding solutions to impossible problems. The Kreldar began to realize that they had underestimated the human species. These were not primitive creatures. They were clever, resourceful, and relentless. In Tokyo, a young engineer named Sarah Mills directed a team of volunteers to reinforce a communications hub. "If we can maintain contact with the pilots and the satellites, we have a chance," she told them. Everyone worked quickly, cables and circuits flying under their hands. When an alien scout ship attacked, volunteers moved debris and shielded critical systems, keeping the hub operational. Sarah smiled briefly. Every small act of bravery mattered. Humanity's fight was built on countless small victories, and together, they formed a force greater than any single weapon. Meanwhile, Michael Turner studied the data from the strikes. He realized that the alien supply ships were vulnerable at the joints where energy conduits connected the engines. "We can focus our attacks there," he said to Clara. "Even small explosions can cripple the ships." Clara nodded, excitement in her eyes. "Then we have a plan. Let's make it happen." The two worked through the night, making calculations and sending signals to the pilots. In the skies, James Carter led a squadron of jets in a daring strike on the alien supply fleet. The ships fired back and some pilots were forced to retreat, but James pressed on. He maneuvered through a storm of alien fire, striking one ship after another. Emily Harris, flying beside him, shouted over the radio, "We're hitting their engines. They're slowing down." The squadron cheered. Every strike, every explosion was a victory for humanity. On the ground, people continued to resist in small but meaningful ways. Civilians used fire extinguishers and water hoses to help control fires caused by alien attacks. Doctors worked tirelessly, treating the injured in temporary shelters. Volunteers delivered food and water to shelters and hospitals. Even in chaos, humans acted with courage and compassion. Their determination fueled the pilots and soldiers fighting above. By the end of the first day of strikes, the Kreldar had lost several supply ships. They had underestimated human creativity and coordination. The aliens realized that humans could adapt to new threats quickly, and that every small human effort counted. Even the strongest weapons could not destroy the human spirit. James Carter landed his jet back at base, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," he said quietly. Emily smiled. "We showed them we can fight. They thought this would be easy, but it isn't." Around them, pilots and engineers prepared for the next wave, knowing that the fight was far from over, but also knowing that humans had already proven themselves capable. Back in the lab, Michael Turner and Clara Moore analyzed the results. "We've slowed them down," Michael said. "It's not much, but it's enough to give cities more time to prepare. Humanity can win this, not with sheer power but with brains, courage, and teamwork." Clara nodded. "The Kreldar thought we were primitive. They will learn that humans are dangerous when pushed to the edge." Across the globe, people slept fitfully, listening for news of alien attacks. Even in rest, their minds were alert, planning for the next day. Humanity had learned that survival depended on courage, intelligence, and unity. Even ordinary people had become warriors in their own way, contributing to a global fight that no single soldier could face alone. As night fell, the fires from cities and destroyed ships lit the sky like an ominous sunset. But humans did not despair. They had struck back, proving that they could fight, even when everything seemed lost. Across the world, a single thought spread among soldiers, scientists, and civilians alike. Humanity was not weak. They could think, adapt, and fight back. The Kreldar had expected to crush humanity easily. Instead, they found themselves facing a species that refused to surrender, that used every tool at its disposal, and that relied not only on weapons but on courage, ingenuity, and teamwork. The first strike had shown that humans could answer the fire of alien attacks with their own. And though the war was just beginning, one truth was already clear: humans were not prey. They were fighters. They were clever, brave, and dangerous. The Kreldar would soon learn that every small act of human resistance, every improvised weapon, and every daring pilot made Earth a planet that would not fall easily. The first strike had changed the course of the battle. The Kreldar now understood that humans were a threat, not because they were powerful but because they were relentless. Humanity had answered the attack with fire, and the fire burned brightly. The attacks had forced the world to act. Earth's leaders, who had often disagreed over small matters, now worked together for the first time in history. Nations shared technology, weapons, and information. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers collaborated on plans that had once seemed impossible. A global fleet was built, combining naval ships, air forces, and space vessels. Even cargo ships were converted into armed vessels, and old satellites were turned into weapons platforms. Every human resource was used, every mind and hand focused on survival. Dr. Emma Lewis and her team worked around the clock in a high-tech laboratory. They studied the Kreldar ships, analyzing every energy pulse, every movement, and every weapon pattern. Hours of data collection revealed a weakness. The alien shields, powerful and near impenetrable, fluctuated slightly when energy beams were redirected in precise ways. "It's small," Emma told her team, "but it is something we can exploit. If we hit at the right moment, we can penetrate their shields and damage their ships." Her assistant, Daniel Cooper, nodded, eyes wide with determination. "Then we have a plan," he said. "Let's make every strike count." Captain Anna Foster prepared for the first coordinated assault. She stood on the deck of the largest human warship, her hands gripping the railing. Her crew looked to her with trust. "Today we show them that humans do not surrender," she said. Her voice carried over the hum of engines and the chatter of soldiers. Pilots, sailors, and space commanders all moved with a shared sense of purpose. They had trained for months, but now, facing the enemy, their resolve was tested. The assault began near the orbit of the moon, where the Kreldar fleet was regrouping. Human ships moved in formations designed to confuse and outmaneuver the aliens. Missiles and lasers fired from every direction, while drones darted around like swarming bees, distracting enemy defenses. Anna led the first wave, twisting her ship through the enemy fleet, exploiting the shield weaknesses identified by Dr. Lewis. Explosions erupted as human ingenuity met alien technology. One alien vessel, larger than a city, shuddered as several precise strikes hit its vulnerable points. Sparks flew across its hull, and alarms blared in the Kreldar control room. Another ship lost control and drifted into space, unable to return to the fleet. Human tactics were chaotic at first but effective. Guerrilla-style attacks, small coordinated strikes, and daring maneuvers caused confusion among the aliens. They had underestimated human creativity and courage. On Earth, civilians watched live broadcasts of the assault. Cities that had been filled with fear now held a glimmer of hope. People cheered when they saw humans disabling alien ships. Children ran through streets, waving flags and shouting encouragement. Families held hands, feeling pride swell in their hearts. Even soldiers on the ground, who had felt helpless during the first attacks, now understood that humans could fight back, and even win. In a small lab in London, Dr. Lewis and her team continued analyzing data as the battle unfolded. "Their shields weakened for just a few seconds when energy pulses redirect," she explained. "If the pilots time it perfectly, they can break through and cause serious damage." Engineers and computer specialists adjusted targeting systems on human ships in real time, feeding precise calculations to pilots like Anna Foster. It was a race against time, but humans thrived under pressure. Captain Anna Foster maneuvered her ship with precision, dodging alien beams and firing at weak points. Her co-pilot, Mark Evans, shouted over the radio, "We've hit the engines. They're losing power." Sparks flew from the alien vessel as it tumbled through space, unable to keep formation. Anna smiled briefly. Every small victory counted. Each disabled ship gave humans a stronger foothold in the war. On the ground, ordinary humans contributed to the fight in ways that mattered. Engineers repaired communication systems that had been damaged in previous attacks. Civilians in cities like New York, Paris, and Tokyo helped organize shelters, distribute supplies, and relay information to military units. Farmers, teachers, and office workers became part of the resistance. Humanity's strength was not only in machines or weapons, It was in every heart willing to fight. As the battle raged on, human pilots developed new tactics. They flew in unexpected patterns, darting between alien ships, hitting vulnerable spots, and retreating before the aliens could respond. Drones and satellite-based weapons fired simultaneously, creating a storm of attacks from all directions. The Kreldar, who had once believed humans were primitive and predictable, found themselves outmatched by creativity, determination, and coordination. Morale soared. Soldiers and civilians alike realized they were part of something larger than themselves. Humans were fighting not just for survival but for pride. They were fighting to prove that no alien could control their world, no matter how powerful. Across Earth, a single message spread: humans would never be conquered. News outlets reported the destruction of several alien vessels. People cheered in the streets, waving flags, singing songs, and celebrating each small victory. Anna Foster's squadron continued to press the attack. "Keep moving. Don't give them time to recover," she shouted. Each pilot understood the stakes. Every maneuver could mean life or death. But every success also inspired the next wave of pilots. Explosions lit up space, showing that humans could adapt, improvise, and strike where it hurt the enemy most. Dr. Lewis, observing from the lab, felt a rare smile break through her exhaustion. "We are doing it," she whispered. "We're turning the tide." Around her, the team worked tirelessly, analyzing alien responses and providing updated strategies to the fleet. Humans had learned the Kreldar's moves and used them against them. Every miscalculation by the aliens became an opportunity for human victory. On Earth, ordinary people continued to play their part. Volunteers moved through damaged neighborhoods, helping the injured and repairing infrastructure. Children collected supplies for shelters. Neighbors protected one another. Humanity had learned that survival was not only about weapons. It was about cooperation, courage, and determination. Even in the darkest moments, humans could rise and act. By the end of the first day of the coordinated assault, several alien ships had been disabled or destroyed. Human losses were heavy, but morale was stronger than ever. Soldiers, pilots, and civilians felt a renewed sense of hope. Humanity had learned that the Kreldar, for all their power, were not invincible. The tide of the war was shifting. Captain Anna Foster and her squad returned to base, exhausted but proud. "We've made a difference," she said quietly. "We've shown them that humans are dangerous not because of weapons but because of courage, intelligence, and determination." Her crew nodded. They had fought together, relying on each other's skill and bravery. Every member of the team had played a role, and every victory was a shared one. Dr. Lewis and her team began preparing for the next phase of the war. They analyzed every strike, every explosion, and every alien response. "We've learned a lot today," she said. "We can improve our tactics, strengthen our defenses, and continue to turn the tide. Humanity will survive this war." As night fell across the world, humans did not sleep in fear. They rested, but their minds remained alert, planning for the battles ahead. Civilians and soldiers alike understood that survival depended on unity, courage, and ingenuity. Every small action mattered, and every human contributed in some way to the global effort. The Kreldar, once confident in their conquest, now faced a new reality. Humans were clever, unpredictable, and relentless. They struck back with skill and courage, and the aliens began to fear that Earth was not an easy target. Humanity had turned the tide, not with overwhelming force, but with determination, intelligence, and the refusal to surrender. By the end of the day, a single truth spread across Earth: humans would not be conquered. Pilots, soldiers, scientists, and civilians had all played their part. They had proven that when humanity stood together, there was no challenge too great, no enemy too powerful. And high above, in the midst of burning ships and flashing weapons, humans whispered to themselves and to each other, "We can fight. We can survive. And we will never give up." The first coordinated assault had shown that the Kreldar, for all their technology and power, had underestimated Earth. Humans were not primitive, weak, or predictable. They were resourceful, brave, and determined. The tide had turned and the war was far from over, but humanity now had hope, courage, and the knowledge that victory was possible. The battle reached its peak near the moon. The Kreldar, frustrated by previous defeats, had come to establish a base in orbit to control Earth. Their ships formed a massive wall around the moon, with energy beams flashing like lightning across the darkness of space. Commander David Hunter and Captain Anna Foster stood on the command deck of the largest human warship, watching the alien fleet carefully. The moment had come. Humanity's survival depended on this battle. Hunter's hands moved across the control panels, issuing orders to the combined fleet. All units, maintain formation. Follow the plan exactly. Remember, their shields are strongest in the center and weaker at the joints. Target those points. Focus your fire. We fight not only for victory but for Earth itself. His voice was steady, but inside he felt the weight of the entire planet. Every soldier, every pilot, and every civilian depended on him and his decisions. Captain Anna Foster adjusted her ship's thrusters and prepared to lead the first wave of the assault. "Stay sharp," she said to her squadron. "We hit their weak points and we don't stop until they are forced to retreat. They may be larger and stronger, but we are faster, smarter, and braver." Her pilots nodded, their faces set with determination. They had trained for months, and now their skills would be tested against the deadliest enemy they had ever faced. Michael Turner watched from the weapons lab aboard the fleet's flagship. He had spent weeks modifying human weapons to pierce alien hulls. Missiles, laser cannons, and energy disruptors were all tuned to exploit the weaknesses Dr. Emma Lewis had discovered. "This is it," he told his assistant, Clara Moore. "If these work, we can take out a dozen ships in minutes. But timing is everything. Every shot has to count." Clara nodded, her hands moving quickly across the controls. "Then let's give them a fight they will never forget." The first wave launched. Human ships darted toward the alien fleet, weaving between beams of energy. Pilots fired missiles with precision, aiming for the vulnerable joints along the alien ships' hulls. Explosions erupted across the enemy fleet, shaking ships and sending debris into space. The Kreldar were stunned. They had expected humans to fight desperately, but they did not expect humans to strike with such skill and coordination. Anna Foster led her squad through the chaos. She saw one massive alien vessel firing at a human ship. With quick thinking, she maneuvered her craft behind it and fired a series of missiles at its engine cluster. Sparks flew and the ship shuddered. It could no longer maintain formation and drifted helplessly into space. Her squadron cheered over the radio. Small victories built momentum, and momentum built hope. On the ground, people across Earth watched live feeds of the battle. Cities that had been destroyed in previous attacks now held a glimmer of pride. Children, who had spent nights hiding in shelters, saw humans fighting above the moon and whispered, "They are winning." Families held each other, hearts lifted by the courage of pilots they had never met. Civilians repaired damaged communication systems and relayed information to the fleet. Every person, even far from the battle, played a role. Michael Turner's weapons lab fired thousands of precise shots. Alien hulls cracked under the energy disruptors and shields flickered and failed. Each destroyed ship meant fewer enemy weapons and less firepower. "We are making a difference," Turner said, watching the feed. "Even if we lose a few ships, every strike counts." Clara worked beside him, updating targeting coordinates in real time. The humans' ability to adapt and think quickly under pressure gave them an edge that raw alien power could not match. Commander Hunter coordinated the next wave of attacks. Using the data from previous strikes, he directed ships to hit the remaining Kreldar vessels from angles they did not expect. Missiles, lasers, and drones converged in perfect timing. The aliens fired back, but their attacks were uncoordinated, slowed by the disruption of their command signals. Every human pilot, every weapons operator, and every engineer contributed to a symphony of resistance that shook the alien fleet to its core. Anna Foster engaged directly with a massive Kreldar battleship. The ship's energy beams ripped through space, but Anna's instincts kept her just out of reach. She fired, retreated, and fired again. The alien vessel's shields weakened and finally failed in one critical area. Explosions erupted, sending shrapnel into nearby ships. The Kreldar were losing control. Confidence gave way to confusion and fear. They had expected humans to flee in terror, but humans had learned to fight like nothing the aliens had ever seen. On Earth, civilians continued their efforts. Engineers repaired satellites damaged in previous attacks so that humans could maintain real-time coordination. Volunteers delivered supplies to shelters and hospitals, ensuring that people could continue to support the war effort. Teachers, students, and workers adapted to a new reality, showing that even ordinary humans could make a difference in extraordinary times. As the battle continued, the combined fleet pressed their advantage. Every destroyed alien ship meant a weakened enemy, and every victory strengthened human morale. Pilots like James Carter and Emily Harris executed daring maneuvers, disabling alien weapons platforms and protecting human vessels. Their bravery inspired others, proving that courage and quick thinking could overcome fear and overwhelming odds. Dr. Lewis monitored the battle, providing updates on alien shield patterns. "They are adapting," she warned. "But their adjustments are predictable. Use that." Exploit the moments when shields flicker. That is when we hit hardest. Human commanders adjusted their tactics instantly. Timing, coordination, and precision became humanity's greatest weapons, stronger than raw energy or advanced technology. The Kreldar, confident at the start, were stunned. Their massive ships, which had seemed invincible, now struggled to hold formation. Explosions tore through their ranks, and their energy beams failed to hit critical targets. They began to retreat, regrouping in confusion. They had never faced an enemy that fought so fiercely with such creativity. Humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and refusal to yield had turned the battle in favor of Earth. Captain Anna Foster led the final wave of the assault, striking at the remaining ships with precision and courage. Her squadron fought as one, a coordinated force that moved like a single organism. They disabled weapons systems, pierced hulls, and forced alien vessels to retreat. Michael Turner's modified weapons, combined with human tactics, caused devastating damage. Each strike was a demonstration of human will and intellect. Commander Hunter watched from the command deck, relief and pride filling his chest. "We've done it," he said quietly. "For the first time they will see that humans are not just survivors. We are fighters. We are clever, brave, and relentless." His crew nodded, exhausted but triumphant. The Kreldar had underestimated the human spirit, and it had cost them dearly. As the aliens retreated, human pilots cheered. Explosions lit the darkness of space, and the surviving fleet regrouped near Earth. The battle had been costly, but humanity had proven something important. Victory was not about being the strongest, but about fighting with intelligence, courage, and determination. The Kreldar fleet retreated into deep space, battered and humiliated. Their massive ships, once symbols of invincibility, now floated damaged and scarred by human firepower. The aliens, who had believed humans were weak and primitive, now knew the truth. They had faced a species that refused to surrender, a species that used courage, intelligence, and determination as weapons far stronger than any energy beam. On Earth, the skies were quiet for the first time in weeks. Cities were scarred, some reduced to rubble, but humanity had survived. Commander David Hunter stood before a broadcast camera, speaking to the world. His face was tired, his uniform smudged with soot, but his eyes shone with determination. "We fought not because we had no fear," he said, his voice steady, "but because we had hope. Our courage, unity, and ingenuity make us stronger than any weapon. We survived and we will rebuild." Across the globe, people listened in awe. Soldiers, pilots, engineers, and civilians alike felt a surge of pride. For months, fear had ruled their lives, but now hope had returned. Children smiled for the first time in weeks. Families embraced, thankful to be alive. Humanity had endured unimaginable challenges, and now the world knew it had triumphed. In laboratories around the planet, scientists studied captured alien technology. Dr. Emma Lewis and her team examined the alien weapons and shield systems, carefully analyzing every detail. "We must prepare for the future," she said. "We cannot assume they are gone forever. But with what we have learned, humanity will be ready next time." Her assistant, Daniel Cooper, nodded. "Every failure is a lesson," he said. "Every success is a step forward. We are stronger than before." Engineers like Michael Turner worked to understand alien propulsion systems. Their notes and modifications could help improve Earth's technology for decades. Satellites, drones, and space vessels were upgraded with insights gained from the alien fleet. Human ingenuity had not only defeated the Kreldar, but had also transformed humanity's capabilities. Pilots trained the next generation of defenders. Captain Anna Foster led flight exercises for young recruits, teaching them maneuvers, targeting strategies, and the importance of courage under fire. "Remember," she told them, "we fight for Earth, for our families, and for every person who cannot defend themselves. Courage is what makes humans strong. Courage and teamwork can overcome anything." The new pilots listened with wide eyes, absorbing every lesson. They knew they were part of a legacy that had already changed history. On the ground, civilians began rebuilding their cities. Rubble was cleared, buildings repaired, and streets restored. Volunteers worked side by side with professionals, showing that humanity's strength was not only in soldiers and scientists but in every person willing to help. Children returned to schools and markets opened again. Slowly, life returned to a world that had been under siege. Even in triumph, humans remained vigilant. The Kreldar had been pushed back, but they were not gone. Communication arrays and radar systems were reinforced, and space patrols monitored the far reaches of the solar system. Humanity had learned that survival required constant awareness, preparation, and adaptability. Every human, from pilots to civilians, understood that vigilance was now a part of life. Across the galaxy, other civilizations watched. The Kreldar, humbled and embarrassed, spread the word of Earth's resistance. They told other species of humans who fought against impossible odds, who turned fear into courage, who transformed simple weapons and ideas into deadly and effective strategies. Across alien worlds, whispers of Earth's strength began to spread. Humans were no longer an unimportant planet. They were a force to be respected. Commander Hunter addressed the fleet for the last time before disbanding the immediate war command. "We have faced the impossible," he said. "We have survived what no one thought possible. But our journey is not over. Earth is safe for now, but our vigilance, courage, and creativity will ensure that it remains safe. Humanity has answered the fire of attack, and our answer was fierce, unyielding, and triumphant." On Earth, people celebrated in small and meaningful ways. Streets were lit with lights, communities held gatherings, and families shared meals for the first time in weeks without fear. Songs were sung, stories told, and memories of loss honored. But every celebration carried a lesson. Survival had been earned, not given. Humanity's victory was built on courage, determination, and unity. Children who had once hid in fear, now played in parks and open streets. They were the future, a generation that had learned the value of resilience and bravery. Parents told them stories of pilots, soldiers, engineers, and scientists who had fought to protect Earth. Each story inspired hope and determination, ensuring that the human spirit would continue to thrive for generations. In the laboratories, scientists continued to experiment with alien energy systems. They discovered new ways to generate power, new materials that could strengthen spacecraft, and new strategies for defending Earth. Dr. Lewis often reminded her team, "We won the battle because we learned quickly and worked together. Let's make sure the next challenge finds us ready." Her team nodded, determined to apply every lesson. Pilots flew training missions over oceans and deserts, practicing coordinated strikes, evasive maneuvers, and precision attacks. Captain Anna Foster watched them closely, knowing that while the immediate threat was gone, Earth needed defenders ready at any time. She smiled at the young pilots performing perfectly timed maneuvers. Humanity had transformed fear into strength. Meanwhile, civilians rebuilt essential infrastructure: power plants, hospitals, and schools. Volunteers shared skills, repaired homes, and supported one another. Humanity's recovery was rapid because every person contributed. The scars of war remained, but they were matched by courage, unity, and determination. Humans had survived against a force that seemed invincible. They had faced fire and returned it stronger than ever. Far in deep space, the Kreldar discussed their defeat. They were wounded, embarrassed, and unsure how to deal with humans who could not be easily conquered. Their reports described humans as dangerous, clever, and persistent. Earth was no longer a planet to ignore. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Humans were unpredictable, capable, and united in ways that could challenge even the most advanced civilizations. Humans had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, not because of superior weapons but because they refused to give up. Across Earth, people celebrated cautiously. Cities that had been destroyed were rebuilt quickly, shelters were reinforced, and civilians continued to support the war effort. The stories of pilots, engineers, and volunteers spread across the world, inspiring new hope and determination. Humanity had learned that they could survive anything if they worked together. For the Kreldar, the loss was humbling. They had believed humans were primitive, weak, and easy to conquer. Instead, they had faced a species that could adapt, plan, and fight creatively. They had been defeated not by raw power, but by the courage, ingenuity, and resilience of humans. Captain Anna Foster looked out at the moon, now scorched but no longer a threat to Earth. "We've done something remarkable," she said softly. "They thought they could break us, but we fought back. We survived. We showed them that humans will not be defeated, no matter how impossible the odds." Commander Hunter nodded. "And we will keep fighting until Earth is safe. This is only the beginning of our war, but we have proven that we can win." The battle near the moon became a turning point in human history. For the first time, humans faced a superior alien force and did not merely survive. They fought with fire, courage, and intelligence. The Kreldar would think twice before underestimating Earth again. Humanity had shown that strength comes not only from weapons, but from heart, mind, and unity. And high above the planet, as Earth glowed in the distance, humans whispered to themselves, proud and determined, "We will fight. We will survive. And we will never give up." Commander Hunter looked at Earth from orbit, his eyes tracing the rebuilt cities and repaired infrastructure. He felt pride for the first time in weeks. We fought not only for survival, he whispered, but for our future. Every human, from pilots to civilians, played a role. Together, we are unstoppable. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Markets reopened, schools resumed, and families rebuilt their routines. But no one forgot the lessons learned. Humanity knew that courage, unity, and ingenuity were its true weapons. And even in peace, humans remained vigilant, ready to defend their planet against any threat. The story of Earth's victory spread across the globe. Children learned it in schools. Adults shared it in conversations. Humanity had faced the impossible and answered with fire of its own, fierce, unyielding, and triumphant. Every destroyed alien ship, every brave pilot, and every scientist's discovery was part of a legacy that would endure for generations. Commander Hunter, Captain Anna Foster, Dr. Lewis, Michael Turner, and countless others had shown the world that courage and intelligence could overcome fear and destruction. The Kreldar had underestimated humanity, and humanity had shown them that strength was not only in weapons but in spirit. Earth remained scarred, but it stood stronger than before. Humans looked to the skies, proud and ready. Their unity and determination had protected their planet. They had answered fire with fire, not with recklessness but with courage, strategy, and resilience. And so humanity emerged victorious. They had survived the Kreldar attack, learned from it, and grown stronger. Across the world, people whispered to one another, confident and unafraid, "We are humans. We fight. We survive. We endure. And we will never be conquered."